From the cold docks of the Hudson River to the sad, warm sands of Iwo Jima to the cavernous courtrooms of New York City, he fought for the right to work, the right to be free, the right to justice, and he won. His life is the stuff of not one, but maybe 6 Hollywood movies. Police officer, Marine, activist for longshoremen, now known as one of the best lawyers in America. He was born Peter James Johnson on the 3rd floor of a cold water tenement on Morton Street, just steps away from the West Side waterfront. His father, James, known as Jasper, was a hard-working longshoreman and union delegate. His mother, Mary, once a seamstress, the mother of 6. Because of bad lungs, they wondered whether Peter would live to be 10. His greatest pleasure was always walking the streets of Greenwich Village with his father, who, though not well educated, was a faithful friend to fellow dock workers who were kept down by low wages, the unpredictability of the shape-up, and the lack of access to medical care. Graduating from St. Joseph's School, already motivated by the life of trial lawyer Clarence Darrow and by the decent courage of his own father, Peter won a scholarship to LaSalle Academy, where his analytical and debate skills grew under the tutelage of brother Michael Bain. At LaSalle, Peter Johnson broke academic records and outgrew his asthma to become a pretty good basketball player. It was the Depression, and for so many, hope was in short supply. But it seemed that opportunity was about to knock. Pete was accepted to the Naval Academy at Annapolis on the recommendation of the local congressman. Then, in 1939, a week before graduation, he came home to Morton Street to find that a heart attack had taken his father. Pete collected his father's paycheck to bury his father, and Mary Johnson wondered how she would care for her children, the youngest, who was 6. He quietly graduated high school, and the very next day took his father's place, loading on a West Side pier by day, by night attending St. John's University, and tending to his siblings, Eileen, Bernice, Ori, Jerry, and Joe. At the urging of a relative, he left the docks to become a New York City patrolman in 1941, and was assigned to the 11th Precinct on the Lower East Side. He often saw that his dark uniform and police hat frightened the German Jewish immigrants who had fled Nazi oppression. As World War II began, he earned the trust of Orchard Street merchants and the rabbi to whom he became a friend. As a police officer, he was exempt from the draft, but after seeking his mother's permission, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 1943, completed basic training at Parris Island, became an expert marksman, and was named a drill instructor. In 1944, he received orders to take his last platoon of recruits halfway around the world, 660 miles from Tokyo, on a small volcanic island called Iwo Jima. During one of the most horrific battles of the Pacific War, most of his platoon never returned home. He was gravely wounded, then saved from certain death by a fellow Marine, and spent the next year in Navy hospitals as surgeons saved his right arm from amputation. As his therapy progressed, he longed to return to Morton Street, where his mother, Mary, had taken an even greater interest in helping raise the Murphy children. 4 boys, Patrick, Billy, Stevie, and Mikey, who had tragically lost their parents and would become his young brothers forever. He returned to the police department after proving his ability to hit a target with his left hand. Under the GI Bill, he completed college at night and began law school at St. John's, where he often provoked his professors with his dramatic argument and desire to win. After passing the bar, his mother helped him scrape together a rent deposit, and a law dictionary, and he opened a one-room office at 50 Broad Street in the shadows of the Stock Exchange. As a young lawyer, he represented many of the same poor longshoremen and their families his father often counseled. Night after night, he heard the same tales of exploitation, kicking back wages in order to get work, gangster domination of the docks, and the ILA. A delegation gathered outside the courthouse and met him as he finished a trial. "Can you help us, Pete?" they begged. "Can you help us form a new union?" Pete Johnson said yes, and helped begin a revolution on the waterfront that shook the institution to its foundations. He spoke in one union hall after another, from Hell's Kitchen to Hoboken. Threatened with death, he spearheaded wildcat strikes in which his men were attacked and arrested. As a lawyer, he fought fearlessly to break the mob's stranglehold over the Union. He became friends with Father John Corridon, known as the Waterfront Priest, later portrayed by Carl Malden in On the Waterfront. Peter Johnson, the young lawyer, spurred on a Moreland Crime Commission appointed by Governor Tom Dewey, and he helped bring health benefits and true reform to the New York docks. His zeal for reform continued as he challenged the corrupt but once idealistic boss of Tammany Hall, Carmine DeSapio. Urged to drop out of the race for leader, he shunned promises of a judgeship and stayed in the race to the end. He lost the election, but again the forces of good government rallied. He won a change in the law of direct primaries where voters, not political bosses, would actually select the candidates. In 1957, at a Schraff's restaurant, he met Veronica Donahue, a tall, beautiful woman from Jersey City who matched his vibrant strength. They fell in love, and a year later, they were married in the Lady Chapel of St. Patrick's. Their sons, Peter and Christopher, soon followed. Not only life partners, Veronica became a central force in his law practice. As his family grew, so did his reputation for courtroom fireworks, dramatic advocacy, and jury success. In one case, he even delivered a summation on his back, singing the Popeye the Sailor Man anthem, "I Am What I Am." He caught the eye of Joe Leahey, a distinguished Staten Island lawyer who admired his unique abilities. On a handshake, they became partners in an office at 120 Wall Street. Their practice skyrocketed as Johnson developed a reputation for taking on the tough cases that others would not, winning case after case, assisted by his savvy brother, Jerry. Juries fell in love with his tough realism and eloquent candor. He established the law firm as the go-to firm for defending products, premises, and transportation injury and death cases. He took on murder trials, represented unpopular defendants, won substantial awards for people killed and injured by the negligence of others, while never forgetting his roots, representing the families of firefighters, police, and workers killed in the line of duty. Winning for those without a voice, he was named one of the best lawyers in America, and he built the preeminent litigation law firm, Leahey & Johnson. The New York Law Journal wrote, "For many attorneys, there is no higher compliment than to call another attorney a Pete Johnson. He is the standard setter. His desire to serve his city and country continues today. He helped investigate the criminal justice and public hospital systems in New York City, successfully defended the historic Times Square plan all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court, taught thousands of lawyers, created the Johnson Foundation to support medical, educational, religious, and civic works throughout New York. Knight of Malta, honorary Doctor of Laws from Manhattan College, serving as a wise counselor to mayors and governors, bishops and rabbis alike, stevedores and CEOs. A few years ago, he spoke to the graduation of LaSalle Academy. He said, "I have learned that wherever you go and whatever you undertake, never forget who you are and who you come from. Never apologize for the sound of your name, for the color of your skin, or for your parents' accent. But at the same time, know too that your life will be measured not by where you have come from, but where you have gone.